Hazel's costume boutique was very crowded today, but that's not surprising. Hazel is usually busy the week before Halloween. This costume shop and many others across the city have seen business as usual this year, despite the rash of incidents of over-the-counter medication being spiked with poison. Owner of the shop, Hazel Fazekas, isn't all that concerned about the dangers of goodies being poisoned here in Oklahoma City, but she is distressed about the decision of having trick-or-treat night on Saturday.
But we're just concerned on the children because that's the big party night for the adults. Halloween is the 31st, actually, but everyone's partying on Saturday night. All of our clubs, most of your restaurants, and everyone's dressing. So it's just that the children shouldn't be out on a Saturday night with all the adults that's running loose, really.
Thank you, Hunchback. For a mere $75 a night, you can rent this coffin, take it home with you. For an extra $250, you can get this delivered with a real-life Dracula inside. On a more serious note, costume distributors all across Oklahoma City feel that a few separate but unfortunate incidents in Chicago won't ruin the spirit of Halloween here in Oklahoma City. Kurt Autry, Action 4. Decker & Son TV and Appliance Shop in Del City is one of the repair firms named in the district attorney's investigation. Employees at Decker & Son say fuses just don't blow out for no reason. And according to Zenith Company policy, the main power board should be checked or replaced. Decker & Son replaced that power board at a cost of $121.59. This is Mid-Del TV Repair. This company was not named in the DA's probe. Mid-Del TV is a competitor of Decker & Son. They're only about 2 blocks away from each other. But Frank Wright, owner of Mid-Del TV, says his competition was in the right.
We've had a problem for a couple of years with intermittent problems blowing that fuse. And at a service meeting, the Zenith factory rep from the Chicago factory told us, if you have a problem with a blown fuse in this set, don't try to fix it. Exchange the module. There's too many intermittents.
Another company named in the investigation, Best Way Discount TV, say they've been slandered, and they stand by their work.
There are crooks in this business, but God is my witness, Mr. Autry, we're not one of them, and it's unfair that they could put that on TV before they even come and check with us and give us a chance to present our side.
But the district attorney's office doesn't agree. They say there is no excuse for incompetent work.
Well, that's nonsense. And the reason it's nonsense is there's a way, and the manufacturer tells you how to do it, there's a way to check to see if there's a problem in the board. In other words, there are segments of that board that you can quickly check to determine whether the problem lies in the board or the fuse was blown due to, let's say, a power surge coming in from the outside. And that's where the logic that they try to use fails.
Three stations today.
Chickasha, Oklahoma. This Grady County community has experienced an increase in population of 10,000 people in the last 8 years. They have also seen an increase in something else, the drunk driver.
Well, we have several clubs, and we have a new club opening up
And through my years on the department, DUI has grown immensely. When I went to work in '72, you may arrest 1 or 2 every 2 or 3 weeks, and now it's anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 every weekend.
There will be 2 additional Chickasha patrolmen on the streets at night, specifically for the purpose of taking the drunks off the road. 85 to 90% of the traffic fatalities in the Chickasha area are alcohol-related. The new Get Tough policy, something that Chickasha lawmen have waited some time for.
The state has changed some of the DUI laws. At one time, I feel that the laws in the state of Oklahoma relating to alcoholic influence and drunk drivers were specified or curbed more to the criminal himself.
No more leniency.
No more leniency.
Jailing procedures have also undergone some drastic changes. A person arrested for DUI on the weekend, for instance, will stay in the pokey until Monday morning. Only then can bond be made. The population of Chickasha is expected to increase in the years ahead, presenting more headaches for the police department there. But officials feel this new Get Tough policy will tell the newcomers that there is no free ride for the drunk driver in the Grady County seat. Kevin Ogle, Action 4 in Chickasha.
Despite declining interest rates, it still may be difficult for you to own your own home in Oklahoma City. New finance plans and an upsurge of condominium construction has made it easier for home ownership, but many Oklahomans are still turning to apartments. Oklahoma City has 7 apartment complexes under construction right now, and at least 3 more complexes should start construction by the end of the year. But even with these new units underway, Oklahoma City faces an apartment shortage. The average apartment in Oklahoma City costs anywhere from $350 to $550 a month. That high price doesn't seem to be scaring too many folks off. According to one apartment manager, she can rent them as fast as they're built.
Here, everything's new. The icebox, stove, they don't have any maintenance problems to keep up with. They have a washer and dryer right in the apartment, and it's just convenient. I think people are wanting to convenience.
Don't expect the apartment situation here in the city to get much better anytime soon. Even though the prime interest rate has come down in recent months, commercial loans for million-dollar apartment complexes like this one are still in excess of 15%. Kurt Autry, Action 4.
Person charged with a crime.
Wayne Wells alleged that a woman with 3 drug-related felony convictions on her record had been given a suspended sentence on a 4th conviction. The case was handled by the Office of District Attorney Bob Macy. Oklahoma law forbids suspended sentences for anyone with 2 prior felonies.
I've tried to deal in facts this entire campaign. Contrary to my opponent, I'll let the people judge what these facts mean for themselves.
But Bob Macy says Wells is the one who doesn't have the facts. The woman's 3 prior convictions arose from one set of circumstances on November 21, 1978. Macy thinks that would be counted as 1 felony instead of 3. And he says the woman has never been convicted of dealing, only possession.
We're getting in the last days of a hard-fought campaign, and I don't like it. I'm sorry that these kind of allegations are being made when they actually have, really no basis in fact.
Both Macy and Wells are former wrestlers, so perhaps the best way to settle this campaign would be to have them stage a match here at the Myriad. 2 out of 3 falls, winner take all. Bill Ross, Action 4 at the Myriad.
Happy birthday to you. Happy When Bob Macy's not busy prosecuting, you can find him at his northeast Oklahoma County ranch. Macy took over the district attorney's reins 2 years ago when former DA Andy Coates stepped down. About that same time, the Macy family bought a 140-acre spread along the banks of the North Canadian River. During the day, the DA rides herd on a 40-lawyer legal staff. In the evenings, he looks after his 70 head of cattle.
To me, out here, Scott, there's so much beauty and so much peace. And, of course, I love the livestock, my animals, my horses, my cattle, my dogs. And after a very stressful, tumultuous day at the office, I can come out here and find peace and serenity. There's excitement, of course, in working cattle and so forth. It's just, to me, it's a refreshment that I need to get away from the stress of the district attorney's office.
Macy has big plans for his place. He'd like to beef up his fences in order to keep his cattle confined. Win or lose, after next Tuesday, Bob Macy will have more time to devote to his ranch. Wayne Wells also has big plans. He wants to become Oklahoma County's next district attorney. Wells is well known for his athletic accomplishments. He won a gold medal for wrestling in the '72 Olympics. He'd like to be well known for his legal abilities. A private lawyer for 10 years, Wayne Wells is ready to wrestle for Oklahoma County. The 36-year-old attorney likes to slip away from lawyering a few times a week to keep in top physical condition.
Well, the biggest thing I get out of it is relaxation. Practicing law, I think it's real hard work. It is for me. It's tedious. Sometimes I get real tired doing it and kind of uptight. It's a good way to relax. And I'm a big believer in a healthy mind follows a healthy body. So, and it's just kind of in my blood. It's hard not to keep doing it after so many years of competing.
Both Wells and Macy have campaigned hard for the right to serve as district attorney. It'll be up to the voters to decide which one finishes the race in first place. Scott Wallace, Action 4.
Gerry Spence has handled a lot of big cases. One of his biggest is the Karen Silkwood case. It may soon be considered by the Supreme Court. Silkwood had worked at the Kerr McGee Cimarron plant. She complained that the plant was unsafe. In November 1974, Silkwood was contaminated by plutonium. 9 days later, she was killed in a car crash while on the way to a meeting with a New York Times reporter. Some people believe she was run off the road. At trial, Spence won a $10.5 million verdict against Kerr McGee based on the theory that the company had improperly handled plutonium. That decision was reversed by the 10th Circuit, and Spence isn't happy about it.
Ordinary, solid citizens listened to the testimony for 3 months and said Kerr McGee was willful and negligent and grossly negligent, maybe even callously negligent in their conduct, and it has to be stopped for the benefit and for the safety of American people.
Spence detests large corporations. He thinks big verdicts against them are justified.
So the only thing that you can do, little people can do, to protect themselves against these monsters who control us is to take some of their money, which is their blood, and their money, which is their soul.
Although he doesn't do much appellate work, Gerry Spence wants to argue the Silkwood case before the 9 justices of the Supreme Court. Bill Ross, Action 4.
I tell you, we have tried to have a clean, honest, decent campaign without any mudslinging, without any name-calling, no cussing contests. And I want that to finish that way. If we can honestly be upstanding in our standards for a campaign, I don't think it'll have any effect on it at all, because that's what the community wants, that's what they expect.
For many children, the trick was in the treat this Halloween. Thousands of little ghosts and goblins traipsed their way through neighborhoods collecting goodies. But some of the children made gruesome discoveries. There were no injuries, but in 9 communities, straight pins, sewing needles, and razor blades were discovered in trick-or-treat candies. Special precautions were taken in most communities. In Oklahoma County, the district attorney's office took calls from worried parents. Some candies were taken to police headquarters. Investigations are underway examining the suspicious treats and tracking down who gave the harmful candies. Ed Foreman with the Midwest City Police Department says finding the suspects will be tough.
Trying to recall exactly where the candy came from, but in cooperation with all the other departments and information that we receive on the hotline through the district attorney's office, and also any calls that we may receive in our secret witness line that we have, hopefully somebody might come forward and give us additional information that would be helpful in the case.
These tampered treats were more of a scare than what most families had in mind this Halloween, and police at Midwest City and in other stations across the state expect for more suspicious candies to be turned in during the next few days. Debbie Mash, Action 4 in Midwest City.
Of them were. The issue to be decided Tuesday is perhaps just as relevant to that whole question, because we're going to be electing a governor who will appoint the racing commission for the implementation of the parimutuel horse racing in Oklahoma. Certainly there are other offices in the legislature that are just as important to shaping the laws that will govern that question and others. There's every reason for Oklahomans to go to the polls Tuesday.
The gas valve was in the open position, stuck, causing the boiler to overheat. When it heated to a certain pressure, then the valve that is supposed to pop off did, and it operated properly.
Voting in the last general election was average. About 800,000 went to the polls to vote for governor. The numbers on the 82 vote aren't in yet, but election officials expect a heavier than normal turnout. Earlier today, the election board surveyed 18 polling places across the state, including Tulsa and Oklahoma counties, and precincts in every statewide geographical section. 9 of those surveyed reported heavier than normal turnout. 1 reported a light turnout, and the other 8 reported an average turnout. That leads election officials to believe this year's election will produce a large turnout. Of course, the big rush comes just before the polls close, and that last push will determine the final turnout. Dan Slocum, Action 4.
"15 months ago, the Oklahoma Welfare Department ordered all of its juvenile institution superintendents to stop using mechanical restraints such as handcuffs or shackles. Since then, department policy has authorized only leather humane restraints to be used to help control unruly students. Yesterday, a federal judge ordered the department not to use mechanical restraints for punishment purposes or to allow students to be hogtied. Department spokesman George Miller says it will be easy to comply with the court order since it parallels existing department policy.
About 15 months ago, we had every restraint removed from every campus. Over a year ago, then we issued a new policy saying the only restraints that could be used were the humane mental health type restraints. And the only other restraint that we use is a MANT procedure, which means that it's just restraint by manpower. In other words, without any type of mechanical device.
The attorney representing kids kept in juvenile institutions disagrees. Legal aid lawyer Steve Novick says his recent inspection of welfare department facilities turned up violations of the department's own policies.
Well, in traveling around and talking to children with our expert consultants, we found that there was evidence of the use of restraints, particularly at the Sand Springs facility, including incidents of hog tying. The last confirmed incident that we were actually able to pinpoint with respect to hog tying was at the diagnostic facility in August of this year.
The judge's order also mandates certain restrictions on the length of time kids can be kept locked up in solitary confinement. Tonight at 10 o'clock, we'll examine some problems the Welfare Department has had this year following its own solitary confinement guidelines.
So that's a 20-day
Scott Wallace,
confinement
Action
right
4.
there. And then, again, even though it was against department policy, we have...
Unlock it.
It's been a very significant success from the business viewpoint. They have turned their turnover rate among these housekeeping personnel from about 400% a year down to around 50% a year. Now that's an advantage to the management of this corporation.
Could that be attributed to the handicapped worker? Are they more reliable?
Absolutely. It's not only that they're more reliable, but that they're given an opportunity to be self-sustaining for the first time. In many cases, it's the first time many of them have had this type of training and the opportunity to hold down a job.
The silence of this normally quiet Lindsay neighborhood was shattered Halloween night. A carload of teenagers drove by this house to check on damage done by vandals earlier in the evening. A shot rang out. One of the teenagers was hit by a pellet. That pellet remains lodged in his eye. 16-year-old Chris Smith remains in Oklahoma Memorial Hospital. Doctors don't know how badly his vision will be affected by the shooting. Witnesses say Lindsay High School science teacher Bill Poole fired the shotgun blast which wounded young Smith. Poole's house had been egged repeatedly Halloween night and numerous times before. Lindsay High School will have to get along without both Poole and Smith for a while. The teacher is temporarily suspended until the school board decides what to do about the incident. The student will stay in the hospital until he's out of danger. While the people directly involved struggle to recover from the incident, the teachers and students of Lindsay High School struggle to try to understand why it happened.
There's a lot of little incidents over the last 14 years since I've taught here that you're going to have some problems with some kids. You can't get along with everybody, you know, every day. I'm up here to teach, I'm up here to discipline kids, and if they're going to retaliate, I know I'm going to get a little bit. But after a while, you get tired of this kind of stuff.
When we first came back after Halloween, nobody talked about it. I mean, it was just real quiet. Everybody just walked around. But now it seems like it's just about back to normal, except every once in a while somebody said something, and there's all kinds of discussions, and some of them get pretty heated.
It's sad for both families that this had to happen, and I just hope something good comes out of it.
The Lindsay School Board will meet tonight to decide what action, if any, should be taken because of the incident. Scott Wallace, Action 4 in Lindsay.
Second, they asked for a meeting with me, which we made the 3rd. And in my meeting with them, we're just not growing at the rate that under the formula we projected. And that's unfortunate, but we can tough it. And by just tightening the belts, we'll go through this period of time. In the meantime, we'll be looking at the appropriate things that we should do to continue to strengthen the economy of the state.